We have seen a situation where our members were given the opportunity to really represent their constituents. But unfortunately, on many occasions, they were compromised. We have seen a situation whereby the rich worked so hard to raise a lot of money to bribe members of the National Assembly, especially those who are representing us. And as a result of that, we now have a tilted arrangement in terms of resources sharing in the country. Many people will think that they have won. I don't believe so. Because I believe the issues that we have today in this country, especially in this part of the country, has to do with mismanagement of resources by leaders at the national level and state levels, and even at local government levels. Let me, at this point, advise the federal government, especially, on the distribution of federal resources. From the information available to us, it's like most of the national budget is now tilted to one direction in this country. Yesterday, I was to come by air. Unfortunately, my air line decided to shift our takeoff from 3 to 8 p.m. I had to come by road. From Abuja to Kaduna to Kano was a hell, terrible, very bad road. And this is the road that was started many years ago, right from the beginning of the leadership of the APC. Now we are told that there is a road now from the south to east. Let me say at this point that we support infrastructure anywhere in this country. In fact, I was telling myself that I wished that road was done before 2023 election, because I was the only aspirant or candidate who traveled to all nooks and corners across this country. I would have used that road. So we support roads everywhere, and any other thing that is good for the people, especially for the masses. But a situation where government is taking our resources and dumping it in one part of the country, and other parts of the country are left just like that, I don't believe that is the right thing to do by the government itself.
I would just want to react to these allegations by Kwankwaso to the federal government, to the Bola Tinubu administration, where he accuses Bola Tinubu of using national resources to develop the southern part of Nigeria alone. And he's asking Bola Tinubu now to do the same thing in the north as he's doing in the south. Also, Kwankwaso also spat fire at the National Assembly. This is a bribery scandal, where he said that rich men raised so much money to bribe the National Assembly. Okay, so it's a bribery scandal, where Kwankwaso spits fire to the National Assembly about they being bribed by very wealthy people in Nigeria, and this is something that we all know. It talked about resource management, the resources of the nation being managed by, not adequately managed by our politicians. But let's just start with the first bit. I'm not sure the kind of development we're talking about that is going on in the southern part of Nigeria that they are on about. Because if you ask anybody to point to anything that is being done right now by this administration. Their biggest flagship program so far has been the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, and to be fair, that hasn't moved past the 15 kilometer that they wanted to hide away from. Locally, maybe other states might have one or two things they're saying they're trying to show about development, but it speaks to the fact that when we have the wrong people in government, what will happen will be mismanagement, just like Kwankwaso is saying, at the federal level, the state level, and the local government level. That mismanagement will happen. That's why politicians can comfortably steal from the nation, from the state, and from the local government, and nothing will happen. And that's why you're seeing this gross mismanagement of our national resources and the state resources and the local government resources. So for me, we have to transcend regional politics into the nation as a whole at the federal level. We have to transcend that. And in order to transcend that, we have to transcend into a level where it is about the character of individuals. It's about the ideas of the individuals. Who wants to run for elected office? What ideas are you bringing in? How can your ideas change your local government, your state, the federal level, the nation? We have to go from this north-south dichotomy of 4 years, 8 years. This one, let's rotate the government. And in doing so, you're only just picking who's available. Well, maybe the person chooses to say it's my turn, like Tinubu did in 2023, says it's turn, and he has to be his turn by all means, as though it's their birthright. We have to transcend that sort of politics. Because if you look at 1999 till date, this what we practice is not gotten Nigeria anywhere. As a matter of fact, it has actually caused us to be more divided than we were ever before. So whilst this constitutional review is going on and the people are calling for changes in our constitution, at this particular point in time, as we approach 2027, my reaction is that we have to transcend this sort of politics being played by our politicians that have brought us this low. You know, it is not the ordinary Nigerian that benefits from this regional rotation of power. It is not. It is same people who have been in power for the last 30 years. Bola Tinubu, Atiku, Kwankwaso, name them. All of them, they've been there around the corridors of power. So when they're saying rotation, they're saying, let it get to us again so that we can still superimpose ourselves over the commonwealth of the nation. So it does not benefit the ordinary Nigerian. That's why the ordinary Nigerian is saying, let it be about competence. Let it be about ideas. The best idea sells and wins. All right. So that we can get people out of power easily who are not performing. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about performances. Do you understand? So the only people that benefit from that are the politicians. When they say the power needs to go back to the north, it's the politician. When power needs to go to the south, it's the same politician, not the ordinary people. That's why it's never been about competence. Because, like Peter Obi said, we've had the worst of the people become our leaders. The worst of the people are the ones in governance. Okay. Now, as per the bribing of the National Assembly members, this is a known issue in the nation, across the entire nation, both home and in diaspora. Nigerians are quite aware about what is going on with our National Assembly, but it's supposed to raise eye storm or raise a storm, for everyone to look at and say, "What? Another wealthy person, a powerful person in Kwankwaso is speaking up as well." But it is something that we know. We know about this National Assembly that the weakest ever we've ever had and the most compromised we've ever had. And then when Kwankwaso said that they're compromised, yes, they're fully compromised because they are bribed. Let me ask you a question. What happened with the immunity review they were doing the Constitution earlier? They killed it because they didn't want it to pass. They didn't want it to see the light of day. So you see what I'm saying? And then in terms of the road, Frank was also talking about you have to fly. Please, this is what Nigerians face every day. You're just coming to see it. Our rich people, the politicians who have stolen our nation dry, have found a way to escape the travesty on our roads. They only use the roads, especially the interstate roads, as when they have no other choice. They have to use it. But in terms of everyday usage, no, they don't. Interstate travel, they don't. Why? Because they made the country ungovernable, unlivable, and the roads unpliable. Because most of them are stolen the Commonwealth, and the lawmakers who are supposed to help are being compromised. The judiciary compromised. The law enforcement compromised. So what we have at the moment are just a bunch of people who are only looking out for themselves, not the good of the nation. So again, like I said, we have to transcend what we currently have to something better. So put your thoughts, your comments in the comment section. Let us have this conversation about it. This is my reaction to it. What is your take? You know, what do you take? What is your take about Kwankwaso accusing the National Assembly of bribery? What is your take about Kwankwaso also telling Tinubu and Tinubu's government, develop the North as you've done the South, develop the North as you've developed the South? What is your take? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you've not done so. And also remember to recommend this channel to others. I will catch you up in the next video. God bless you. Bye bye for now.